Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Salam Melakaku maju jaya. Rakyat bahagia menggabit dunia. Salam Melaka, sayang rakyat. Salam Malaysia Madani dan salam Melaka membaca. Bijak laksana tua, berani laksana jebat. Yang berusaha, Puan Zarina binti Abdul Rahman, Ketua Unit Perkhidmatan Perpustakaan Negeri, Perbadanan Perpustakaan Awam Melaka. Yang berusaha, Encik Muhammad Zaidi bin Dawud, Pembantu Perpustakaan Unit Koleksi Melaka, Perbadanan Perpustakaan Awam Melaka. Seterusnya, tuan-tuan dan puan yang dihormati sekalian, selamat datang ke program siri bicara buku warisan Melaka siri pertama, anjuran Unit Koleksi Melaka, Perbadanan Perpustakaan Awam Melaka Perpustam pada pagi yang penuh bermakna ini. Untuk makluman hadirin sekalian, program yang berlangsung pada hari ini dianjurkan dengan kerjasama Persatuan Sahabat Muzium Negeri Melaka. Penganjuran program ini bertujuan untuk menyemai dan menyemarakkan budaya membaca dalam kalangan masyarakat, khususnya dalam memperkasa apresiasi terhadap sejarah, budaya dan warisan negeri Melaka. Ladies and gentlemen, wise as tua, brave as jebat, the respected Encik Raifuddin bin Abdul Latif and the respected Puan Zarina binti Abdul Rahman, Head of the State Library Services Unit, Melaka Public Library Corporation, the respected Encik Muhammad Zaidi bin Dawud, Library Assistant, Melaka Collection Unit, Melaka Public Library Corporation. Distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Melaka Heritage Book Talk Series First Editions, organized by the Melaka Collection Unit, Melaka Public Library Corporation Perpustam, on this meaningful morning. For your information, today's program is organized in collaboration with the Friends of Melaka Museums Associations. This program aims to cultivate and promote a culture of reading among the community, particularly in fostering a deeper appreciation of the history, culture and heritage of the state of Melaka. Hadirin yang dihormati, bagi meneruskan atur cara majlis pada pagi ini, majlis dengan segala hormatnya menjemput Encik Johari bin Hashim dari Persatuan Sahabat Muzium Melaka untuk tampil ke hadapan, seterusnya mengendalikan sesi bicara buku warisan Melaka pada pagi ini. To continue this morning's program, it is my great pleasure to invite Mr. Johari bin Hashim for the Friends of Melaka Museum Association to come forward and moderate the Melaka Heritage Book Talk sessions. Please welcome him.
Diucapkan kepada saudari pengurusi majlis, Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Salam Malaysia Madani. Salam Melaka maju jaya, rakyat bahagia menggambit dunia. Bijak laksana tua, berani laksana jebat. Selamat datang diucapkan kepada hadirin dan hadirat semua. Baik, sebelum saya menjemput dua orang ahli panel, suka cerita saya perkenalkan diri saya lah. Saya MD Johari bin Hashim, seorang guru yang telah berkhidmat selama 25 tahun dan merupakan ahli seumur hidup Persatuan Sahabat Sejarah Melaka. Jadi oleh kerana sebenarnya saya baru saja menyertai persatuan ini sebagai persiapan saya untuk pesara nanti. Jadi kira dalam persatuan ni saya junior. Jadi saya telah diarahkan oleh pengurusi atau presiden persatuan ni, engkau jadi moderator. Jadi saya kenalah terima arahan ni lah. Ya. Jadi saya berharap saya dapat menjalankan tugas saya dengan baiklah. Jadi sebelum itu sebelum jemput sabar tuan moderator, saya cerita dululah. Saya bagi tuan minta tuan panel relax kejap. Jadi ibarat kata orang tua-tua, tak kenal maka tak cinta. Maka eloklah saya perkenalkan secara ringkas dua pihak yang bekerjasama di dalam mengadakan program ini, iaitu yang pertama, Unit Koleksi Melaka. Koleksi Melaka merupakan pusat pengumpulan khas bahan perpustakaan berkaitan negeri Melaka. Ia merangkumi pelbagai bahasa dan bentuk terbitan, sama ada diterbitkan di dalam atau luar negara, serta dihasilkan oleh penulis tempatan dan antarabangsa. Antara bahan yang terdapat di koleksi Melaka adalah bahan bercetak seperti buku, kertas kerja seminar, kertas kerja seminar persidangan, tesis, bahan nadir terbitan rasmi kerajaan negeri seperti penyata Dewan Negeri, akhbar rasmi kerajaan negeri, laporan tahunan, koleksi peribadi atau koleksi tokoh, gambar-gambar lama dan pameran bersiri seperti pameran Hang Tuah dan Kemerdekaan Negara. Manakala bahan bukan bercetak seperti CD atau VCD dan juga artifak seperti keris dan pistol lama, boleh dikatakan hampir 99% bahan yang dikumpulkan oleh unit koleksi Melaka adalah mengenai Melaka. Jadi kalau sesiapa khususnya pelajar-pelajar sekolah atau universiti yang nak buat kajian berkaitan dengan Melaka, terutama ada assignment, tugasan yang diberi oleh cikgu, bolehlah datang dan berhubung dengan kaunter pertanyaan di bawah. Okey. Baik. Seterusnya adalah Persatuan Sahabat Muzium Melaka. Persatuan ini telah ditubuhkan pada Ogos 2005. Merupakan sebuah pertubuhan yang komited dalam mempromosikan pemahaman, penghargaan dan pemeliharaan sejarah serta warisan Melaka melalui pelbagai aktiviti pendidikan dan kemasyarakatan. Antara aktiviti yang dijalankan adalah siri bicara sejarah dan warisan Melaka yang bertujuan menyingkap tokoh, tempat dan kisah Melaka. Yang sempat saya hadiri, kan saya kata saya baru, jadi yang pertama ialah seminar mengenai Enrique, ya, yang di bentangkan waktu itu oleh sahabat kita SS, ya. Terima kasih SS kerana datang juga pada hari ini. Dan juga yang kedua mengenai seni bina, berkaitan dengan Melaka sebagai bahagian daripada UNESCO, pengiraman oleh UNESCO. Dan juga satu lagi ialah mengenai siri sejarah warisan Melaka yang bertujuan untuk menelusuri tokoh, tempat dan kisah Melaka. Jadi kalau petang-petang ni kadang-kadang kita ada aktiviti, di mana Encik Syaukani kita sebagai Presiden, beliau punya pengalaman yang banyak pasal tembok, burung merpati mematuk tembok pun dia tahu. Jadi siapa-siapa yang berminat lah untuk menyertai Persatuan Sahabat Muzium ini, bolehlah berhubung dengan Presiden Encik Syaukani. Jadi tak elok saya duduk seorang-seorang, maka saya jemputlah kedua orang panel kita untuk menemani saya di depan ni bersama-sama dengan itu yang dijemput Encik Syaukani Abbas dan juga Encik Martin Tezera.
Terima kasih.
Baik, secara ringkasnya objektif program siri bicara buku warisan Melaka. Aktiviti ini bertujuan untuk memperkenalkan perpustakaan sebagai pusat ilmu, khususnya unit koleksi Melaka, kepada para pelajar, guru-guru dan masyarakat umum yang berminat dengan maklumat berkaitan Melaka. 2. Menggalakkan budaya membaca dalam kalangan ahli. 3. Menambah pengetahuan tentang sejarah, budaya dan warisan Melaka. Meningkatkan kemahiran berfikir secara kritis dan analitik. Menggalakkan ahli berkongsi pandangan serta pengalaman mereka. Dan meningkatkan kemahiran berkomunikasi dan pembentangan. Untuk makluman, siri bicara buku ini dirancang untuk diadakan secara bulanan. dan terbuka kepada sesiapa sajalah yang mungkin berminat boleh hubungi Cik Syaukani. Tak semestinya orang itu adalah penulis buku. Mungkin dia ada sebuah buku yang dia rasa menarik, ya, dan dia nak kongsikan. Bolehlah berhubung supaya bolehlah berkongsi ilmu mengenai buku-buku yang tersebut. Okey, baik. Siapa ni dah sedia? Cik Martin?
Dah.
Okey, baik. Kita pergi kepada siri bicara buku. Buku yang pertama, saya nak baca tajuk dia, saya takut sebab semalam saya dah kena marah, saya kena tegur dengan penulis sebab saya bahasa Inggeris limbungan. Dia lalu kata saya dah terminum air sungai limbungan. The Memoir of, betul memang The Memoir of Syaukani Abbas. The road ends ... but the story continues. Takut lagi dia sebut ni. A Memoir of Malaysian Tour Guide. Okey. Buku ini ditulis oleh Encik Syaukani Abbas. Sila beri tepukan. Baik, saya bacakan sedikit. Buku ini di dalam bahasa Inggeris. Jumlah muka surat adalah sebanyak 119. Ringkasan profil. Encik Syaukani Abbas adalah seorang pemandu pelancong dan pengurus pelancongan bertauliah dengan pengalaman melebihi 33 tahun dalam industri pelancongan domestik dan antarabangsa. Beliau mempunyai rekod kepimpinan yang cemerlang sebagai mantan pengurusi Persatuan Pemandu Pelancong Melaka serta aktif menyumbang kepada pemeliharaan warisan sejarah. Beliau merupakan Presiden Persatuan Sahabat Muzium Melaka. Dan untuk pengetahuan, beliau ni, adik-adik ni, beliau ni lahir membesar di Bandar Hilir ni, ya. Di Bandar Hilir ni daripada kecil di tempat beliau ni. Dan antara anugerah dan pengiktirafan 2009 Achievement Award for Contribution to Heritage and Leadership, Oxford Centre for Leadership, UK. UK ni United Kingdom memang. Bukan Ulu Kelang. Okey. Baik, 2009 Anugerah Pemandu Pelancong Terbaik 2008-2009 Kerajaan Melaka. 2011 Anugerah Pemandu Pelancong Terbaik cemerlang Tourism Malaysia. Dan pada 2016 beliau telah dikurniakan Pingat Jasa Kebaktian PJK oleh Kerajaan Negeri Melaka. Saya rasa ada satu kurang ni bang. 1967 Cik Syaukani ada terima satu hadiah. Boleh cerita, boleh? Baru saya jumpa ni dalam National Library Singapore. Pada usia 10 tahun beliau telah memenangi hadiah pertandingan mewarna. Jadi tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, saya jemput Encik Syaukani untuk membicarakan mengenai buku beliau. Silakan.
Terima kasih. Ibu Johari macam press statement. Okey, Assalamualaikum dan selamat pagi tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian. Terima kasih kerana dapat datang untuk menghadiri the first book talk. And this is the idea of this book talk is from Persatuan Sahabat Muzium, ya. Ahli jawatan dia, even search pun semua support the idea. So we do this, we want to do it monthly. So tujuan tu sudah diceritakan. So this is my book, Memo. This is my book, and it was published this year. Okay, so before, if anybody have bought this book, to me, the first chapter you should read is the last chapter. Not the last chapter, but before the last chapter. It's about my family. Okay, so it's not written by me, but written by my sister. Okay, this is how you know about myself, right? So that's the first chapter you should read about the storyteller. Who is Shao Kani? Okay, so that is how I prefer that. This is how you should do the reading of my book. But anyway, what inspired me to write this book? There's a lot of inspiration, but this is the question people ask me all the time, and the answer is very simple. Because for more than 3 decades, 30 years, more than 30 years, I have the privilege of meeting people from all over the world. Yeah, and every tour, I was introduced to new faces, diverse cultures, and unforgettable experience. There's a lot. Some moments were joyful, and some were challenging, and many taught me lessons. I learned a lot from my guests. When I retired active guiding in 2025, I realized that one day these stories might disappear from me. Okay? If I do not write it down in paper, I do not want this to happen, to disappear. I don't want the story to disappear. So that's why I write this book. This book is not about my life. It's about the invisible side of tour guiding, which many never see before. It's about the tour guides. Yeah? And I also wrote a book for the next generation of tour guides. I hope they will discover that tour guiding is much more showing people, not showing people about places of interest, but also about the people they bring along. They need to study about the people. This is the idea of the book here. If after reading this memo, a young guide becomes more passionate about the career they are having, and I hope they will learn a lot from this book, because I'm giving my knowledge to these young guys. And it happened before. Many of the young guys bought the book. They will come back to me and say, thank you. We never expect life as a tour guide is like this. So this is something I'm very proud of. Yeah. And also, also, when I write this book, I ask myself a question: who would benefit from this book? Yeah, I soon realized that this book was not written for a single group of people. First and foremost, is for the tour guides, like I mentioned just now, especially for those new in this career. And many guides' book, if you observe, they wrote about facts and destinations. Yeah? But very few address to the human side of tour guiding. Yeah? The challenges we face, the responsibility we face, the unexpected situation, the lessons that only be taught through experience. Right? I hope this book will serve as a companion and a source of encouragement for those entering this profession of a tour guide, especially for the young guys here. If you tend to go for jadi pemandu pelancong, you learn from this book. Yep. Secondly, it is for those curious about what happened behind the scene of the tour. Many people see a tour guide smiling with a microphone, in hand, but they rarely see the planning, the problem solving, decision making, the commitment that goes into every tour. yeah, before and during. Through this memo, I hope readers will gain a great appreciation of the career of the tour guide. Finally, it is for anybody in this group too who enjoy reading true stories about the people, travel, and life. Although the setting of this book is on tourism, but the lesson learned here is universal. Okay? The book explores trust, leadership, communication, friendship, resilience, and many unexpected encounters that shape us along the way. In short, the memo is for everybody, yeah, who believe that every journey has a story, okay, and every story has something to teach us. Do you agree? Yeah. So this is my idea of the memo, right? And why I choose this title, this subject? Why? I choose this subject because I spent 33 years in this line. Half my life is in this line. Yeah, I don't know to do other things. And for more than 3 decades, I traveled thousands of kilometers, not only Malaysia, Singapore, Europe, and not America, and meet every people from every corner of the world. Solve countless challenges, and witness moments no training manual could ever teach. Right? Along the way, I realized that the tour guiding is a profession many people see, but very few understand. Right? So most people think a tour guide job is simply to take visitors to one attraction. Yeah? In reality, there is so much more going behind the scene, right? And a tour guide is also a planner. We are a planner, a problem solver, a storyteller, a counselor for the guests, a culture ambassador, and at times even a friend to the people traveling with us. Until today, I have hundreds of friends, especially from the USA, still contacting me through Facebook or through WhatsApp. We still contact each other, and some has passed away, but still their family members still contact me because of their journey to Malaysia. They are very happy. When I retired, I felt this experience should not end with my career. The lessons I learned over 33 years could inspire young tour guides, help travelers better appreciate the profession, and preserve a small part of Malaysia's tourism industry. I choose this subject because it's a story I know best. I do not have to imagine or research in books. No need source. And I live in this line. So I live this line one journey at a time. The memo in my way is preserving those experiences so that even though my tour ended here, the stories and lessons can continue to inspire others. Some people leave behind buildings, monuments, and achievements. I simply wanted to leave behind the stories. The story of life on the road. Emotional a bit.
Betul tak ni? Pelik pula saya. Rasa macam
Memo.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think so enough.
Baik untuk pengetahuan semua yang masih lagi belum membeli buku ni, chapter the second last tu yang Cik Syaukani cerita tu ialah mengenai dia tajuk situ ialah System Memory, The Story of Abbas Bandung. Untuk generasi muda dulu kalau di Bangunan Merah tu ada satu kedai buku, kedai buku, toko buku Abbas Bandung. Untuk generasi muda ni, dulu sebenarnya pusat pentadbiran, boleh saya pusat pentadbiran Melaka ni berada di Bandar Hilir, di Jam Besar. Orang Melaka cakap Jam Besar. Jadi situ ada pejabat pos, situ pejabat kerajaan, dan di situ ada satu kedai buku. Jadi waktu saya kecil, saya akan ikut mak saya lah, nak pergi bayar bil semua di pejabat pos. Pejabat pos queue-nya panjang, saya akan merayau lah. Jadi di antara tempatnya yang saya akan singgah ialah toko Abbas Bandung. Minta maaf kan, sebab kita dulu buku mahal, buku sangat mahal kan. Jadi cuba baca, jalan-jalan sikit, baca sikit. Kang kena tegur kang, jalan sikit lagi kan. Kadang-kadang buku yang kita excited nak baca tu lah buku yang berbalut tu kan. Slow-slow kopik sikit. Dik, jangan buka. Okey, itu antara yang berkaitan dengan toko buku Abbas Bandung lah. Baik, soalan saya, Syaukani. Berapa lamakah masa yang diambil untuk menyiapkan buku ini?
Okay, so 30 tahun. 30 years. That is the story of 30 years. But actually it take me 6 months. After I retire, so I concentrate on writing a book for 6 months. But the story is 33 years. So this story is in my mind. So everything is all in memo, so in paper. So high time kita kumpulkan memo tu. Tapi masalahnya terlalu banyak. I don't know which one to choose. So I got to sit down, read again, and which should be published, not to publish. There's a lot of memo. But the best part on the memo, the one incident, is during one of the tour at Stanhice with the old lady.
Itu sepatutnya soalan kedua tu.
Dia ke?
Okey, kita
So what happened was,
saya akan bagi satu lagi soalan. Okey.
So what happened was, in the Stanhice, this old lady, I think around 80 years old, was walking with me inside the Stanhice, and he saw the one room, and suddenly she cried and hugged me. I said, "Why are you crying, ma'am?" She said, "I was married. My registration marriage is here." So what happened was, to make sure that the story is correct, I jumpa Colin. Colin is a Stanhice ni dulu dia kerja situ kan. So Colin said, "Yeah, that room memang registration room for marriages." Yeah. So it's quite interesting, but now the lady is gone lah. And then dia punya wedding reception, Secret Convent. I took her there, and she said, "Yeah, this is a school, and it's a chapel reception." So this banyak memories. I got a lot, but I had to choose satu-satu yang sesuai lah. Satu memory yang tak boleh saya catat ialah bergambar dengan Michael Schumacher. I was his guide for the 1999. I mean, time tu handphone tak ada, so tak boleh bergambar. And that is very one of the many memories I have. Okay, yeah.
Okay, saya ulang juga lagu soalan tu. Bab manakah yang paling Cik Syaukani gemari dan mengapa?
Okay, selain pada bab yang dengan Stanhice tu, satu lagi yang bab yang saya tak lupa ialah membawa delegate dari Saudi Arabia. Dia Menteri Pelancongan Yeah. So pagi tu, that morning, I was called up by Tourism Malaysia to prepare to the same car with him from airport to town. But at the end of the day, he asked me to do it at State Heights. So that sampai di State Heights, we do the tour. Then I whispered to him. I said, the next stop will be Porto Santiago. And why don't we walk there? But you know, security, they have prepared all the cars, bodyguard, they had to change. Dia kata celaka siapa ni. Change everything. So no kelang kabut. So I walked with him to Porto Santiago. That's why I changed the mood of the tour. So against the security everything kan. But I think they like it. They like to walk and see our city. It's very, very interesting. Yeah. But luckily he never read the signboard. Whenever I think tourists, I avoid like a signboard. I just storyline. Yeah. As a tour guide, it must be at the end storytelling. Storytelling is very important. You must understand the fact, then you can tell a story. Tapi benda-benda ni dia is not now, it's through experience. Okay? Yeah.
Satu lagi soalan ni.
Kena bayar.
Okey. Baik. Saya tertarik dengan chapter 22.
Apa dia?
Echoes along the water, memoir of the Malacca River Cruise. Sebenarnya saya pun tak tahu juga sebenarnya benda ni, walaupun daripada kecil saya cakap tadi tunggu mak beratur di pejabat pos. Dulu untuk generasi baru dulu Sungai Melaka dulu seberang sana tu tandas tu semua masuk di dalam tu sungai tu. Jadi sungai tu bukan secantik sekarang. Jadi boleh cerita sikit tak mengenai permulaan River Cruise tu?
Nak cerita tandas dia tanya kakak.
Bukan pasal tandas. Cabaran sebagai pemandu pelancong waktu itu ketika permulaan River Cruise tu dilancarkan.
Okay. Dulu River Cruise is one of the dirtiest river in Malaysia. Paling kotor, bau dan sebagainya tu. So kita orang tinggal dekat sungai, we stay around the river, so we know the situation lah. And one thing good about the river dulu, we know our wake up call and also tea time. Because in the morning, bu but keluar ke laut. Petang bu masuk, ada petang dah. So this is one my river memory of that river. But in the year 1990s, there's a group of environmentalists from Denmark. So they came and they were given grants to study the rivers in Malaysia. So they chose Malacca River as a first project. So what happened was they spent 6 months in Malacca to study about why the river is dirty. Then they spent 2 more years in Malacca, how to make the river clean again dan sebagainya. Then after the study, they present to the state government, and at that time the state government will beautify the river. So Montek beri pada state pejabat sungai dan sebagainya 300 million ringgit to beautify it. So now we have that. But one thing but the idea of this river cruise came from San Antonio, Texas, in America. The idea. So you can Google up. And one thing I'm very sad about the river is that for the young generation, they do not know how tongkang. Dia tahu apa tongkang? Tak tahu. SP tahu, tapi budak muda tak tahu apa tongkang. Tak ada contoh tongkang pun di Melaka dan Timur. So during my time, tongkang banyak. So it's very interesting. But the beauty of the river is the butter trade at the river mouth. Kalau dapat dulu buat turis, we buat river mouth there, show this is what happened. In Malacca, we have been doing this for the last 600 years, right? So this beauty, but now gone. Minta maaf dah tak nampak the beauty of the river. Now it's more like commercialized. Tak ada nampak macam dulu lagi dah. Ya? So, minta maaf dah dek. Tapi kalau nak tahu cerita ikut saya cerita lagi.
Okey, baik Encik Syaukani, terima kasih kepada Encik Syaukani di atas bicara buku. Tapi belum lagi, kejap lagi ada lagi. Teman. Okey. Kita beralih pula kepada ahli panel kita yang kedua, Encik Martin Tezera. Bong Pamiang, Teng Bong,
Bong,
Jak Kumi,
Nenang Kumi, Bija Bebe Coffee.
Kau faham?
Itu je 3 saya tahu. Setakat ni yang saya baru belajar. Bong Pamiang, selamat pagi. Teng Bong, apa khabar? Jak Kumi, makan. Dah makan belum? Okey, baik. Jadi selamat datang Encik Martin Tezera. Untuk pengetahuan tadi yang saya tanya tadi ialah bahasa Kristang. Okey. Baik. Encik Martin Tezera, seorang aktivis komuniti dan pengamal budaya Kristang. Jadi ringkasannya, aktivis komuniti, pengamal budaya dan pejuang warisan kelahiran Melaka yang mendedikasikan hidup untuk memelihara bahasa ataupun Papia Kristang dan identiti komuniti Portugis Eurasian. Sebagai bekas nelayan tradisi, beliau membawa perspektif unik dan pengalaman hidup yang mendalam dalam mendokumentasikan warisan maritim, sejarah lisan dan budaya pesisir pantai Melaka. Beliau pakar dalam menggerakkan program komuniti merentas generasi serta membina jaringan strategik bersama institusi tempatan dan antarabangsa. Antara pengalaman dan sumbangan komuniti beliau ialah mengetuai dan menganjurkan inisiatif komuniti yang melibatkan kanak-kanak, ibu bapa, pemuzik dan tokoh warga emas untuk menghidupkan semula tradisi Kristang. 2. Menggunakan pendekatan berasaskan komuniti melalui penceritaan, muzik dan aktiviti budaya bagi menggalakkan penggunaan bahasa Kristang dalam kehidupan harian. 3. Menganjurkan Kambate Papia Kristang ataupun pertandingan bertutur bahasa Kristang bagi meningkatkan kesedaran awam tentang kepentingan pemeliharaan bahasa. Beliau juga adalah penyelidik dan pendokumentasi warisan projek sejarah lisan Peraya Lin, iaitu mendokumentasikan sejarah lisan, profil personal community, muzik, masakan tradisional dan amalan maritim pesisir pantai Melaka. Beliau juga merupakan rakan strategik kebudayaan dan kolaborasi institusi dengan membina dan menguruskan kerjasama dengan universiti, agensi kerajaan, badan korporat, pertubuhan budaya dan institusi antarabangsa untuk memperkasakan usaha pemeliharaan warisan. Jadi dengan tidak melengahkan masa, saya persilakan Encik Martin Tezera untuk memulakan bicara buku beliau yang bertajuk The Story of Pedro Tezera, The Fisherman. Dipersilakan.
Terima kasih Ibu Johari, kawan baik saya, seorang committed, seorang jujur untuk memperkasakan orang muda berkenaan dengan kebudayaan, kehidupan harian. So terima kasih Cikgu Johari. Tetamu saya Encik Syaukani, pengerusi Friends of Melaka Museum, Perpustakaan Melaka, Melaka Section. Terima kasih for inviting me personally and collaborating with Friends of Museum. I will ask permission to speak a bit in English, a bit more comfortable, sikit-sikit bahasa Malaysia. Anyway, I was a fisherman for many years, like how I was introduced. So basically the book, am I supposed to talk about the book?
Yeah.
No? Okay. What inspired me about the book is actually very natural. I was a fisherman for 20 years. I know the sea, I know the weather. Kalau nak tahu nak hujan ke, bila nak hujan ke, ada ribut ni malam ke, you consult me. No need to go to Met Malaysia. Met Malaysia kadang-kadang tak accurate. Tapi we fishermen, naturally we know the weather. We can predict. So one way how we predict is when the sun is going down, we look at the horizon. So kalau dia ada punya tanda berkilat-kilat, like some lightning at the horizon, we can estimate more or less what time the weather will come. Macam semalam, itu angin, kepala angin, very strong wind. Tapi that angin suddenly came but no rain, just like drizzle. So the prediction was correct. So semalam kita pergi. Today is actually a very special day, the Feast of the Assumption, a very grand feast for the Catholics in Melaka. So we gathered in front of the church to play guitar and singing with some friends. So, nak hujan lah ini. I said, don't worry. Angin memang ada, hujan maybe renyai-renyai. Then the weather was fine till 1 o'clock in the morning. So fishermen have that natural experience, inborn experience. Okay, dia can predict musim, bila ada geragau dekat mana yang plentiful lebih. Kalau musim selatan dekat mana boleh tangkap ikan selangin. So the fishermen, they are born with that kind of ability, that kind of knowledge. They also learn along the way. So the book actually was a book that I want to beat my colleague there. He said he used 6 months to complete, but I finished in 5.5 months. Truly, I just sat with a friend. He came in his computer, so I just tell him the story, and he just type. And then, we had quite a number of reruns. And finally, we managed to complete within that period of 5-6 months. So it came naturally because from the many years of experience out at sea, being involved in the community work as a teenager, doing church work, getting involved in the choir, singing, caroling, community. So we lived, or at least at that time I lived at Praia Lane, Bandar Hilir. So tapi pantai, so beautiful. It was paradise really. So I got married very late. Saya kahwin umur 40. Because life was beautiful. We lived by the sea. We could earn a living very comfortably as a fisherman. No stress. But everything has changed now because of the reclamation. Anyway, so the book that I wrote came naturally from all the years of experience, being a fisherman, being a community activist, getting involved in a little bit of political work, but more the love for the place, because we live and grew up in a multicultural, multi-ethnic community. Ada orang Melayu takai ikan, cakap bahasa Kristen macam ini. Macam saya punya kawan, Encik Colin will agree with me. Papia cuma aku, retu bah. They could speak so well. Hussein, Hassan, Malay fishermen, tapi dia punya understanding and the language proficiency better than maybe many of us. Yang shopkeeper, Cina, perfect, Kristen. Orang yang peraih, yang beli ikan, fishmonger, perfect Kristen. Yang that Malay petty trader, jual tebu, jual sikit-sikit barang, can speak well. Barber, Indian barber. So the language actually, like I say, was very, should I say, well heard, and it was like everybody could speak. Itu nyonya buat kuih pun cakap very, very fluently. I think maybe Colin will know that Bibi Tessa, that Chui, shopkeeper nyonya, very, very clever to speak. But after we had a competition just a few months ago, 2 months ago, Kambate Papia Kristen, language competition. Well, it was frightening. We can speak, our generation, okay. Our children, they have a problem. And the real problem will be their children. Our children's children. They will zero. Because from what we had, 10 shortlisted contestants, only 3 really qualified after audition. cannot speak just one or two words, but couldn't really speak, couldn't tell a story. So that's why we are taking upon ourselves to go right down. So now our method is to go to the house, not classroom method. It doesn't work. We go to the family, get the family involved, parents, grandparents, and we encourage them to speak the language. So just 2 nights ago, I went under the tree. We have one session called Bebe Coffee, Basu Albi. So there we drink coffee and we talk old stories, we talk about community affairs, we talk a bit of politics, what affects our life. So that, I think, works. One more way is also, I say, we have Bebe Conta Story, Bebe Chap. Okay, that one is more organized. So we have this session, we go to the house, we organize. Minum teh sambil berbual-bual. So the book, actually, like I say, coming back to the book, came naturally. And the stories there is actually about my life experience. Pedro is actually Martin Tissera there. I just used Pedro because it sounded very nice. Pedro means Peter. And my surname is Tissera. So I just took that name because there was also a man called Pedro Tissera in Prailin. He is like a very big-hearted man. And then he was also a man that many young people were afraid of because he was a very strict man. Pedro Tissera, maybe Mr. Collin will know him. Pipi macam bunga. So anyway, so I was inspired by that name. I put that name as the title of my book. Okay, the stories in there is actually, I write about how we celebrate the first day of the year. Because it's important. If we don't put that on record, eventually our children will not know how we celebrate the New Year, all the different festivals. We have our own water festival. We have today the Feast of the Assumption. We have had San Pedro just a few weeks ago. And then we'll be having many other feasts. Feast of St. Francis Xavier, and then finally Christmas. So all this is in the book. How we prepare for the festivals, how we prepare for home celebration. So this is my first series. I hope I can do my second series next year. I've been doing a bit of work. Second series will be expanding on my story. Okay, include maybe a wedding in the story, at a funeral, a death in the story, or a new birth, and all the customary practices that comes with it. So important because it's document. Sekarang ramai orang muda, they don't know about customary practice. Give an example. Bila kita buat itu intrudu adalah satu pesta air untuk community Kristen. So bila you siram air, bukan siram sebarang dengan siapa-siapa, tak boleh. Kalau you siram dengan your age group, okay. Tapi kalau siapa yang a bit elder, you must follow the customary practice. So you cannot simply throw water and walk away. So the customary practice for us is to offer a glass of wine. The idea is, one is out of respect for the elderly person, maybe your grand auntie or your godmother. And also, this is what I was told, is to warm the person up. Because after you drench the person gets wet, so you offer him a glass. But in my book, I write, which I was told, a time to make up. Kalau sudah gaduh dengan jiran, so that's a good time to make up. So you go to your neighbor, you throw water at them. Tapi you see how the reaction. So if the response is quite positive, which I think they also know, they will respond. And then we say, sorry lah, we had some misunderstanding, we make up. So we hug each other and say, okay lah, let bygones be bygones. So that is one opportunity to make up, to become friendly neighbors again. I don't know where I'm going actually about the book and what is in that. So, Ken? Okay.
Baik. Jadi kita, bila Cik Martin tadi cerita mengenai bagaimana beliau sebagai nelayan boleh meramal cuaca tu kan. Saya tengok ada satu dalam majalah gila-gila lah, tak tahu saya baca kat toko buku Bandung ke tak apa. Dia kata dalam satu kampung tu ada seorang ni tahun 70-an lah, yang pandai meramal cuaca. Jadi siapa-siapa yang nak pergi buat aktiviti apa akan jumpa dengan tok tua tu. Tok, besok hujan ke panas? Tok tu kata, besok hujan. Lepas tu lusa datang tanya lagi. Lala ada seorang tanya, Tok, Tok, macam mana Tok boleh tahu ni pasal cuaca ni? Dia kata, kau buka je lah radio kan, dia ramai cuaca. Tapi nanti Encik Pakcik memang tak ada lah. Memang
Kita punya 12 jam saja. 24 jam dah boleh.
Okey. Baik. Jadi sampai lupa dah soalan. Okey, tak apa. Mengapa Encik Martin memilih tajuk dan tema ini? Maksud saya ialah kalau dalam buku ni dia banyak dari segi perbualan, dia cara bercakap kan. Saya pun kebetulan lah saya mengajar di St. Francis. Ada ramai juga murid-murid yang keturunan Kristen ni lah kan. Jadi saya ada peluang lah untuk bercakap sikit, belajar sikit bahasa Kristen ni. Jadi sebagai menyokong usaha Encik Martin ni sekarang ni, kalau saya tak marah dulu, saya pakai kadang-kadang saya keluar je bahasa Kristen. Saya baca, belajar dalam buku ni Besti Kabalu.
Besti Kabalu.
Jadi
Besti Kabalu.
Jadi saya dah boleh marah dulu dalam bahasa Kristen. Okey, dia pun ketawa lah. Okey, baik. Jadi kenapa pilih tema yang macam ni?
Okay, yalah, macam tadi saya cakap, these are important documentation. Kalau budak-budak sekarang, lagi satu contoh, ngepil di Chua Tebing. Satu hujan lebat, hujan kuat nanti sampai, is coming. So kalau you minta dengan budak-budak, dia tak boleh reti. Ngepil di Chua Tebing is like a proverb. Dia macam ada cerita satu hujan kuat ada datang, tapi budak-budak dia tak tahu. Tapi direct translation is satu kaki, one leg of rain is coming. So they won't be able to understand. Tapi yang orang lama they can understand. So that's why kita kena macam tulis dalam buku, so at least hopefully they can understand all these kind of words or sentences that actually is not directly meaning what is written, but it has got a second meaning. Ngepil di Chua Tebing, satu angin ribut is on the way, akan datang. So yes, everything that's written there is actually a documentation for the next generation to understand, and hopefully they can use whatever is there and with their knowledge to understand the language more. So okay, keturunan Kristen actually is not so correct. Actually, it's keturunan Portugese. Kristen is is our colloquial word for language, for the community, dan the religion. So Kristen can mean bahasa. Kristen can also mean community, JNT Kristen, dan Kristen Dadi, Christian, being a Christian. So Kristen can mean these three things.
Okey, baik. Jadi sebenarnya tadi saya lupa pasal yang water festival kan?
Water festival.
Sebenarnya kalau kita imbas balik, dulu dalam masyarakat Melayu pun ada ni, mandi-mandi ni selepas kenduri kahwin. Dulu kenduri kahwin adik-adik dulu kita masak gotong royong. Jadi ada periuk besar yang perlu dicuci semua. Sehari selepas kenduri tu semua akan cuci lah. Jadi lepas nak menghilangkan penat, itu yang ada siram-siram tu. Pengantin selalu jadi mangsa lah. Diconteng ngarang kan.
Kita buat tu. Conteng ngarang.
Ya, sebab tu bila saya tengok Water Festival ni, saya teringat kita dulu pun dalam masyarakat Melayu pun adalah sebab dulu pergi, sekarang ni mungkin kan. Tak apalah, faham je lah. Dua air pergi free.
Ada kesama dengan mandi sahabat kita ni, dia orang punya cara mandi tu.
Itu nanti dulu, nanti kita cerita Sebenarnya Songkran pun sama juga, dia mengamalkan ada.
Yes.
Okey, baik. Dalam bab ni, dalam buku ni, apakah kisah yang amat bermakna pada Encik Martin?
Kisah yang bermakna. Okeylah, kisah bermakna is
Satu yang meninggal, kisah yang mendalam lah dalam bab ni.
yalah, macam saya cerita tadi, mau kira satu buku lah. The whole story is about what I went through. So my topic there is very personal. Kalau you refer to my book, it's a very personal journey, a very personal experience of my life. So if you ask me, which is my favorite topic, I think I would say almost every topic there is relevant to my story, because like I say, it's just my experience of all these years being involved in community. So it's all there, being involved in the community, doing community work, helping each other. Bila musim the major drought in Melaka, in the kampung had one well, or in fact had two, but the main well was the well itu kedai Cina. Everyone go there, and semua all tolong to carry air pada orang tua and all that. So the story that I say is very personal. So all the topics there is very close to my heart. So no one special topic. The whole book is actually very personal. So hopefully, like I say, I can expand the book in my next series lah.
Okey, baik . Kita dah dengar daripada kedua-dua ahli panel kita mengenai buku yang mereka tulis. Jadi saya bukalah kepada sesi soal jawab daripada peserta. Mungkin kita boleh buka pada 2 soalan. Ada siapa-siapa nak bertanya? Satu soalan mesti daripada young generation.
Yes.
Okey. Baik. Silakan, siapa nak bertanya? Kita ada
boleh saya tumpang tanya yang Tuan Syawrani, bila bab kedua, second book.
Okay, the second book dah siap.
Okay.
Dah siap. The draft dah ada, but I need to have further detail. Ada 2 buku. One about tour guiding, one about place of interest. I don't know how to merge together. So must done properly, most probably end of the year. InsyaAllah lah. Dah ready dah, 2 buku dah ready. But only thing I need to more in-depth study about the books. Okay?
Okey, ada soalan yang kedua?
Okey, I ada soalan. Nama saya Hafiz, daripada Jasif. Okey, I want to ask question for each of you. Okay. One question for Mr. Syafani, okay, because you are tourist guide, correct? For 33 years. Okay, I want to ask you about when you converse with this so-called tourists, there is a general knowledge of Melaka history. What do you think about that?
Okay.
Okay, then one. Okay, for other. Okay, you are from Kampung Portugis, right? Okay, so it's so obvious when you are in Kampung Portugis. Okay, you are a fisherman. What do you think about the reclamation of Melaka land?
Okay. Tapi satu soalan tadi kau cakap recommendation aku lupa dah. About Melaka. What I say about Melaka.
General knowledge of tourists
Oh.
about Melaka.
Okay. The idea of the tourist yang I bawa selalunya. First of all, they never know the history of Melaka. Itu dulu. They don't know. Mereka sekarang lain, internet. Asal they come with open mind, tapi they do not know much about Melaka. They know about the history a bit, but they know about the stadthiles. This is what they do on the podcast. Tapi in detail they don't know. So as a tourist guide, we had to create a storyline, so that they make understand. But nowadays it's different. Nowadays they know the story because we cannot goreng doang. Dulu kita pakai minyak kacang, sekarang kita kena minyak bagus, olive oil. So they know the story, they know what to see, what to do. But nowadays tourist lain. After COVID, just tourists different idea. They want to experience about what is in Melaka. And one thing is about them, they like to photograph. Right? So photography, as a tour guide, you must know a skill. So photography, and then they want to know the food, what we eat, you know, and then how we live. These are the things they want to know. They want the experience, no more about history, about the Dutch, the Portuguese. They can Google. So even my tour nowadays, although I retire, I do special tour. I divide the tour into two. One section about historical, one section about the Heron Street and sebagainya. Even Heron Street, I can talk for 2 hours, which all the guys are surprised because every house in Heron Street has a story. Even one stage pun ada story. You jalan Heron Street, you dulu ada bong-bong dia tu. Lain pada orang lain. That's why rumah dia panggil snail house. Ada suara snail dia tu. Saya tak tahu. Dia tunjukkan. You want to see my house, you have to cross the road. Amin also tak tahu. So Abu also don't know. So we have to cross the road to see the beauty of Seychelles. So they something different nowadays. They want photography. They want to know how we eat. They want the normal story. That's why in my tour I included a lot of my experience and the storyline. Even when I do a tour, I always start at the St. Francis Xavier Church. I told them, this is where I grew up, in front of the church. I don't know that under my house is the wall of the fortress, Fortaleza di Malacca. So this is a story they like to know what's happening this long time ago. At the roundabout, at the bazaar. Even some people told me that during the Japanese occupation, the Japanese massacred people, hang their head on the pole depan Majirana at the roundabout. So these are all stories. Even like Colin told me, one of his friends from Singapore says that when the British retreated from Malacca, they used volunteers cannoning for the church, fired the bridge, but it was not destroyed. So these are the stories they want to know. They want to know about. This is first hand from the people. This is when you talk about the stadthiles where the mythos that the people are angry about cuci internet speed all the world, right? Itu semua mythos lah. But anyway, they want to know what happening here and there. This water. They even like nowadays food. They want to know food, but they don't want to eat. But my clients are Americans. They're very particular about food, so they just want to see. This is what they know. Even like they would prefer to go to kampung, macam kampung modern. So I arrange a cooking class. So they want onde-onde. So pakaikan sarung, headgear kan, dia buat onde-onde, genting onde-onde. Then they makan. What they taste, they will say, oh, this how it tastes like, you know. These are things they want to know. So Malacca is not only about buildings, but now the trend.
Living heritage.
Heritage. Even like you see nowadays, all the new Chinese tourists pakai apa? Baju kebayu. Yeah? So we should have Johari baju Melayu. But can I add on a bit about the all right. So from my point of view about the young generation, about this young generation going to be custodians of our future in Malacca heritage. Okay? So, like I said, Malacca is not simply about old buildings, monuments or museums, but behind every street, there is a story. You know, in Malacca, every street has a story. You should go and visit Hakka Museum. SP is one of the friends who brought me to Hakka Museum. In that museum, every street has a story. You want to learn more about the street, go to Hakka Museum. Even on Malacca River, my writing 5 pages on Malacca River only, but I get the source from Hakka Museum. It's a very interesting. The young generation should visit this type of places of interest. The product there is very good. Even like example, Sultan Muhammad, you should visit Pefong School. Pefong School, go and see the museum. They have their own museum there about the school. Good idea. You students should visit every Saturday first week, 9 to 12. Learn something from them. So you are the future custodian of history in Malacca, so you have to learn a lot. Okay? Okay.
Itu saja. Cik Martin tadi.
Okay, just a brief history about reclamation in Malacca. The first lorry load of laterite earth, tanah liat, was dumped into the sea off Wisdom Drive in 1974, not very sure of the month, 70-an. That was the first lorry load when reclamation started. So reclamation went on. Yeah, we were not so in favor, but we had to just agree to the reclamation. And then it reached Praya Lane, Banahile in 84, 10 years. So from Wisdom Drive, they reclaimed behind the convent, and then at Praya Lane in 84. Lepas tu dia continue, dia buat sampai habis 94 dekat Garden City, where now the way ends. Dekat sekarang itu Element Mall, that building. So dia habis dah 94. So 74, 84, 94, 20 years. In between they stopped for a while because of change of management. Lepas itu, the buildings came up a bit later. So 74, 84, 94, then 84 buildings were already coming to where I live. So we fishermen, we had to relocate, kita kena pergi depan the new shoreline. But we still went fishing because it was not totally covered, so we still could survive as a fisherman. Ramai orang tangkap ikan, pelanggai and all that. So if we talk about reclamation, yes, plus and minus lah. I mean, it changed the whole lifestyle of the penduduk the tepi pantai. One good example, satu contoh. Tadi baru saya hantar Grab datang sini. Kita cerita pasal geragau. Maka nombor geragau. Kalau ada sikit dekat Tanjung Puteri, itu pun you cannot buy. Lu ada wang pun you kena tunggu orang-orang booking. So geragau was one of the very common for us. It was no kristal lagi. It's like black gold, you know, for us. Kita tangkap banyak-banyak, kita jemur, kita taruh dalam pasu or buyung, simpan. Because plentiful, you cannot sell when it's plentiful, it's a bit cheap. So we process, taruh dalam buyung, lacan, simpan. Bulan-bulan we simpan. Lepas itu bila musim utara kuat, kita boleh pergi laut, kita kasih keluar, buat bola dan jual.
Itu cincaluk ke yang simpan?
Bukan, dalam buyung itu lacan. Kita penggap satu malam, lepas pagi jemur, tumbuh 2 kali, taruh dalam buyung. Cincaluk itu is fermenting, itu buat dalam pasu. So cincaluk dulu kita tangkap geragau, terus tangkap, tak payah cuci, terus bawa rumah, terus buat. Tapi nak siap dia punya nasi dengan dia punya garam, nak torak sikit. So terus dia punya resepi 10 to 1, 10 mangkuk, apa saiz pun boleh, 10 mangkuk gerago, 2 mangkuk nasi, and 1 mangkuk garam lebih kurang. Not very full lah, but the gerago 10, 2, 1. So 10 to 1 itu resepi. Tapi sekarang tak lagi. Memang cincau dekat Melaka tak ada lagi. Kalau ada itu cincau is from elsewhere. Even belacan sudah kurang. So that is ialah the not so good part of reclamation. But on the whole, if there is a development that the state wants to undertake, we as a community, we don't really bantah as in bantah for the sake of bantah, but we only try our best to say that at least it must be done in a proper way lah. Ikut to EIA and then see that everything is in good order. Because at the end of the day, kalau the project is successful, good for everyone. So good, I mean plus and minus lah. Have I answered your question, sir? Reclamation?
Saya rasa dah jawab tu kan.
Ya, terima kasih.
Kadang-kadang kalau cerita pasal penambakan laut ni, saya selalu cakap lah, kalau laut tak ditambak, tak dapatlah kita lepak dekat dataran pahlawan, tak dapat lepak dekat Morgan Temporary, kan? Dan tak ada peluang pekerjaan, kan? Itu sama je macam penebangan hutan untuk buka ladang sawit, kan? Kalau hutan tak ditebang, kita makan gebu-gebu je bang. Okey, jadi satu soalan daripada anak muda.
Today I have one question to ask you two. What is the most difficult experience you have ever had to talk about?
Maknanya apa suasana yang saya hadapi? Banyak, tapi satu suasana yang saya masih ingat, saya nak sampaikan dalam my tour ni. Orang Amerika ni memang memang banyak tabiat. It's not forget. So there's one lady that day one cuba nak buat saya marah. Dia ada apa tujuan tak tahu lah. Tapi setiap kali jumpa saya ada soalan yang tak soalkan dan sebagainya, kasi saya marah, dia datang lambat kan. So saya senyum. Saya tak lawan, saya senyum je, okey. Datang perangai dia, senyum je. Senyum sampai hari ke-10, kita ada farewell dinner. Dia bangun kasih ucapan. Dia kata saya rasa disappointed lah. Dan saya ni suka sakit hati orang, dia kata. So dia kata saya cuba dapat Syahrani marah-marah saya, tak dapat. Dia senyum je dia. So senyum je tau. So tak dapat nak buat saya marah. Tapi dalam kerja saya, we got to smile always. Walaupun kita penat ke apa, senyum. Sekarang senyum susah. Kau pergi makan kat Kentucky ke, cashier tak senyum. Duit tahu dia tak. You know? So belajar smile. Think positive. You know? You think positive, smile. Kalau cikgu marah apa. Saya satu tarian tu. Saya ajar budak-budak saya punya group. Sampai sekarang dia ingat saya. Saya ajar dia orang tarian India, Bagra. Saya kata dia orang, okey, angkat tangan macam ni. Bayangkan tukar lampu. Turn the bulb, change the bulb. Betul, bahu jadi. I don't know. So, step 3, wash your clothes. Bagra, change the bulb, wash your clothes. Atau sekarang dia ingat saya. So awak belajar, besok cikgu tanya, apa awak belajar dekat library? I don't know. So this is the thing I encounter lah. Perangai pelanggan. Macam-macam perangai ada. Ada tu perangai suka, satu sekali tu, ada satu lawyer tau, dia lawyer 85 tahun. Dia seorang jalan seorang. Petang tu kita ada welcome dinner. Dia buat turn back. Nak pergi mana? Kata nak pergi next hotel. Siapa kan? Bukan sabar juga. Itu yang kedua, perangai lagi, buat perangai lah. Tapi kita kena handle this sort of situation. Mungkin dia dah tak ingat apa kan. Kena berlakon. Kalau dia pelancong ni berlakon banyak. We are actors. Kita tu berlakon. Berlakon tu bukan untuk suka lah, tapi untuk untuk jaga keadaan dan sebagainya. Ni banyak deh kalau nak cerita asal kita duduk satu nanti boleh.
Seterusnya Encik Martin.
Okey, yang nak stress ini. Dulu kita kalau dekat kampung, spontan, ada perayaan, semua keluar tolong. Senang. Cakap saja kita nak buat ni, ramai keluar. Secara spontan. Dia tak cakap berapa boleh bayar ini. Lepas itu kita punya makcik-makcik bawa minuman, makanan, semua macam betul yang buat kerja lah. Buat tengoklah apa, gotong royong ke, buat benteng itu seawall macam dulu. Pasal kita duduk tepi laut kan, kadang-kadang ribut, itu batu semua jatuh. So everybody volunteer, no problem. Tapi sekarang that is the problem. So yang saya personally I face is volunteer. Orang tak macam dulu. Sekarang dia minta berapa boleh bagi. So that mindset is a sad thing lah. Tapi I encourage young people to volunteer. Kalau tak volunteer memang tak jadi. So dekat mana kita boleh volunteer, we volunteer and encourage friends to follow. So itu yang I think my greatest challenge lah, to get orang to volunteer sincerely without strings attached. So so we just have to go on. Kerana if we don't do what we are doing, the road ends. The road ends. So we have to continue. So orang muda very important. Don't give up. Just do what is in your heart is important. Okay. Yeah. Terima kasih.
Okay. Terima kasih Encik Syaugani dan Encik Martin Tazera. Baik, secara ringkasnya, kalau saya lihat kepada buku Encik Syaugani ni, saya tak baca lah memual tu kan. Okay. Buku ini merupakan catatan kehidupan seorang pemandu pelancong profesional selama 33 tahun. Bermula daripada seorang pemandu pelancong tempatan sehinggalah beliau ke persada antarabangsa dan memenangi pelbagai anugerah. Di dalam buku ini, sebahagian besar daripada sejarah Melaka dipersembahkan melalui sudut pandang seorang pemandu pelancong yang sangat berpengalaman. Okey, manakala buku The Story of Pedro Tazera, The Fisherman, buku ini berkisah mengenai kehidupan sebuah keluarga di perkampungan Portugis di Melaka. Buku ini menonjolkan hubungan masyarakat yang melintasi kaum, agama dan budaya. Buku ini juga menyentuh mengenai sejarah keturunan Portugis di Melaka, agama dan upacara keagamaan yang unik yang diamalkan oleh masyarakat, seperti perayaan San Pedro, ya. San Pedro ni tidak diraikan oleh semua, sebab hanya masyarakat yang terlibat, terutama di pelabuhan lah, yang terlibat dalam nelayan ataupun pelayaran lah. Ya. Sebenarnya Cik Martin waktu saya nak pergi, saya cakap anak murid saya kan ramai keturunan Portugis. Ada yang bila tu dia orang bagi tahu, cikgu nanti datang kita ada San Pedro. Lepas tu dia cakap, cikgu jangan pergi. Jadi kita tengok di sini. Bila cakap, saya kata, kenapa tak boleh minum? Cikgu mana boleh minum? Saya kata, air mineral. Mineral tak apalah. So saya pergi, ini pengalaman saya lah. Saya hadir 2 tahun ni. Saya hadir 2. Satu atas jemputan, iaitu Kambate Patia Kristam, pertandingan bercerita. Dan juga saya pergi San Pedro. Jadi saya melihat keunikan ni lah. Sesuatu perayaan ni kita kena lihat daripada perspektif. Kalau kita tengok positif, sebenarnya dia akan jadi positif. Ada banyak benda positif sebenarnya. Sebab pengalaman saya sendiri pun, saya pernah melawat ke Lisbon 2 kali. Jadi saya rasa kalau saya dah pergi ni dulu, saya tak payah pergi Lisbon ke. Okey. Dan kemudian buku ini cuba memperkenalkan bahasa Kristen okey, yang merupakan bahasa yang diwarisi oleh lebih 500 tahun okey. Jadi terima kasih diucapkan. Ada okey. Terima kasih diucapkan kepada kedua-dua penulis buku ini kerana di atas usaha mereka kita dapat mempelajari banyak perkara dan sejarah negeri Melaka. Ibarat kata pantun, pohon sirih, pohon selasih tumbuh merimbun di hujung laman. Kalangan budi, junjungan kasih menjadi kenangan sepanjang zaman. Jadi selesai sudah tugas saya sebagai moderator pada pagi ini. Saya sudahi dengan serangkap pantun. Kalau ada jarum yang patah, jangan diletak atas almari. Kalau ada silap dan salah, ku pohon ampun 10 jari. Jadi sebelum saya serah pada pengacara, ada sedikit persembahan daripada Encik Martin. Satu lagu yang begitu popular lah.
Tapi saya minta partisipan lah. Saya nyanyi tapi saya nak orang tolong support joget lah.
Boleh lagu joget.
Okey, kita boleh dengar. Oops, sorry. Ada backup singer. Ai jinklinona yo quero casar. Jinklinona yo quero casar. Caso não tem porta, não cai do passar. Caso não tem porta, não cai do passar. Tem canto, tem quanto, tem fora, não tem. Amor, minha coração. Ay babaranya gitar kontrabass ng karga. Ay babaranya gitar kontrabass ng karga. Passado no support que cantigo que larga. Passado no support que cantigo que larga. Epa, tem canto, tem quanto, tem falado, tem. Amor, minha coração. A la banda estiban, aku sempre do papai. A la banda estiban, aku sempre do papai. Tomar mantelenço. Bila dia agora quer saber se brincar baia. Tem quanto, tem falando, tem. Amor, minha coração. Oh nonna minha nonna, eu também alongada. Oh nonna minha nonna, eu também alongada. Que nonna tem confiança, eu vira logo casa. Que nonna tem confiança, eu vira logo casa. Tem quanto, tem falando, tem. Amor, minha coração, olé.
Okey, terima kasih.
Saya faham ada baca.
Saya serahkan kembali kepada pengacara majlis.
Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, majlis mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada moderator dan kepada dua ahli panel pembicara kita sebentar tadi. Untuk makluman semua, unit koleksi Melaka sentiasa mengadukan sumbangan bahan-bahan bacaan mengenai negeri Melaka untuk dijadikan rujukan kepada orang ramai. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organisers, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Johari bin Hashim as our moderator, as well as to our two distinguished panel speakers for the insightful discussion earlier. For everyone's information, the Melaka Collection Unit continuously welcome contributions of reading materials related to Melaka to enrich our reference collection for the public. Hadirin yang dihormati, untuk koleksi Melaka sebelum ini telah menerima sumbangan yang amat bernilai daripada pelbagai pihak, termasuk Nutmeg Publishing, Encik Martin Tessira, Puan Josephine Chua, serta 1000 naskah buku peribadi milik Allahyarham Tan Sri Abdul Rahman Arsyad. Hari ini, Perpustan sekali lagi berbesar hati menerima 2 naskah buku sumbangan peribadi daripada Encik Johari bin Hashim, iaitu buku sejarah sekolah St. Francis yang berjudul The St. Francis Institution Cadet Corps 1902-2022. In the past, The Melaka Collection Unit has been fortunate to receive valuable contributions from various parties, including Nutmeg Publishing, Mr. Martin Tessira, Madam Josephine Chua, as well as approximately 1,000 books from the personal collections of the late Tan Sri Abdul Rahman Arshad. Today, Perpustam is once again deeply honoured to receive a personal contributions of 2 books from Mr. Johari bin Hashim titled The St. Francis Institution Cadet Corps 1902-2022. Bagi meneruskan acara, majlis dengan sukacitanya mempersilakan Encik Johari bin Hashim untuk tampil ke hadapan bagi menyempurnakan penyerahan sumbangan buku kepada Encik Raifuddin bin Abdul Latif sebagai koleksi rujukan di unit koleksi Melaka. With that, we warmly invite Mr. Johari bin Hashim to present the book contribution to Encik Raifuddin bin Abdul Latif on behalf of the Melaka Collection Unit.
Okey, sekali lagi. 1, 2. Okay, time's up. Alright.
Majlis merakamkan setinggi-tinggi terima kasih kepada Encik Johari bin Hashim atas sumbangan yang amat bermakna ini. Majlis memohon Encik Raifuddin bin Abdul Latif untuk terus kekal di pentas bagi menyempurnakan sesi penyampaian cenderahati kepada barisan ahli panel serta moderator kita. We now invite Encik Raifuddin bin Abdul Latif to remain on stage to present the tokens of appreciation to our esteemed panelists and moderator. Untuk itu, majlis mempersilakan Encik Syaukani bin Abbas, pembicara buku The Road Ends But the Story Continues. Dipersilakan.
Okay, 1. Okay.
Seterusnya, dipersilakan Encik Martin Tessira, pembaca buku The Story of Pedro Tessira the Fisherman. Dan akhir sekali, Encik Johari bin Hashim selaku moderator sesi kita pada pagi ini. Majlis merakamkan ucapan ribuan terima kasih kepada Encik Raifuddin bin Abdul Latif atas kesedia menyampaikan cenderahati sebentar tadi. Syabas dan tahniah diucapkan kepada barisan ahli panel dan moderator. We extend our sincere thanks to Encik Raifuddin for the presentations. Heartfelt congratulations to our esteemed panel members and moderators. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, dengan berakhirnya penyampaian cenderahati itu tadi, maka tibalah kita ke penghujung program bicara buku Warisan Melaka siri pertama. Pihak penganjur merakamkan setinggi-tinggi penghargaan atas kehadiran hadirin sekalian. Semoga kita bertemu lagi pada program yang sama pada bulan September nanti. Sebelum majlis melakukan kiranya, izinkan saya menitipkan serangkap pantun sebagai penutup kata. Bayu pagi menyapu pekan, air mengalir tenang di muara. Lembaran ilmu jadi tatapan, khazanah warisan milik bersama. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.